Doug Ford expands his promise to take more booze off the shelves. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. We already have removed Russian booze from the shelves of the Liquor Control Board of Ontario stores, the LCBO stores across Ontario. That was in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Then, in response to Donald Trump's tariffs, well, Doug Ford ordered the LCBO to remove all American booze. Funny enough, Chinese alcohol is still there. But now, with a trade dispute not related to the tariffs, nothing to do with Donald Trump, but Ford wants to make it about Donald Trump and show that he's standing up to the big bad Americans, he's threatening to take Crown Royal and all products owned by their parent company, Diageo, off the shelves. He made this announcement again at a union rally in Brampton, Ontario over the weekend.
As sure as I'm standing here, a message to all the bigwigs at Diageo, I swear to God, those bottles of Crown Royal are coming off the LCBO shelves. When the last person walks out through that door, we're going to make sure LCBO takes off their brands because we need to stick together.
That was on Saturday, and then on Monday in Quebec City, he said the same thing again. He will take Crown Royal off the shelves as soon as they close their plant in Amherstburg near Windsor, Ontario, in the new year. And then he added, Smirnoff will be next. Yes, if you didn't realize this, Diageo is a major player on the global spirits market, on the global alcohol markets. Take a look at some of the brands that they have. Johnnie Walker Whiskey, Guinness, they've got Tanqueray, they've got Smirnoff, they've got Don Julio Tequila, on and on their list goes, more than 200 brands. And Doug Ford, I almost called him Donald Trump because he's sounding a lot like Donald Trump, is saying he'll take them off the shelves. It's funny, in his news conference in Quebec City, on the one hand, Ford was saying, we don't want protectionism like Donald Trump. And then what's he doing? He's acting in a very protectionist manner. For the first 6 years that he was premier, Doug Ford went around the world saying that Ontario was open for business. That was his message. At one point, they were putting up billboards at the border for Americans coming in across bridges into Ontario to say, Ontario is open for business. Now, what's the message from Doug Ford? Cross the premier and we will use the power of the government to crush you. He is essentially saying that Ontario is closed for business. In any normal sense, look, the decision to close the bottling plant in Amherstburg, and that's all it is. It's a bottling plant. They bottled Crown Royal that was made in either Gimli, Manitoba or Valleyfield, Quebec for shipment to the American market. They would often add in the apple and the other flavors that go with it for their candied varieties of Crown Royal. But it made no logistical sense to send whiskey from Quebec or Manitoba to this small corner of southwestern Ontario to then ship it to the United States. The decision to move this is about a global restructuring that's seen jobs lost in Kentucky, in Scotland, in Italy, all over the place. They are shuffling jobs from places that don't make sense to places that do make sense. They're trying to make sense of their supply chain, something that Ford is often talking about. But he's going to punish them for that. He's going to take all of their products off the shelves. That will send a chill through the business community. By the way, as I pointed out before, Diageo was looking at putting another whole production facility for Crown Royal in nearby St. Clair Township in southwestern Ontario. That was put on pause. It wasn't canceled. It was just paused. But you can bet that while Doug Ford is premier, that plant idea will never open up. It will never go forward. They will increase production in Manitoba or in Quebec, but they will never open up a plant in Ontario with what Doug Ford is doing. Is the company being foolish? Yeah, perhaps. But Ford is going over the top. He is being the demagogue that he is denouncing in Trump, and he's acting the exact same way. It makes no sense. This is a foolish move. The premier needs to find an off-ramp. He needs to calm down. He needs to change his tune, or he's going to send the worst chill over the business community and the business climate in Ontario that he spent the last 6 years trying to fix. He shouldn't sound like an out-of-control union leader when he's the premier of Ontario, but that is exactly what he sounds like. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.